thank you for joining our webinar. Uh, in today's webinar, we're going to talk about the customized brand element for our app. So basically, we want to make sure that the app is going to look good and that you're going to identify and create some brand recognition using the app. So to get started, let's go ahead and log into your Commercesoft deployment. Once you log in, the first thing I want you to change or think about changing is basically go to settings, uh, go to branches, and if you select your branch, so I'm going to select the New York branch, you're going to notice there's a mobile app cover. So you want to change that mobile app cover. So let me just illustrate what that would look like on the app. So notice this image, right? The default image for the mobile app cover is the first one, or the one you see your deployment and the brand setting. So however, just to make sure your studio is distinct and have its own flavor and look, you want to make sure you change that image. So as you could see, there's one studio, that looks nice. Everybody else tend to have the same logo. So to avoid that, just make sure you change that. The second thing that's kind of important is that you want to make sure that your address, city, state, and postal code is correct. So even if you're not within the U.S., just make sure that you pick the correct country and make sure your address is correct. And you should see a Google map below that to reflect your address. Because in the app, people are going to could locate studio by location. So in order to make sure that's effective, you want to make sure your information is correct. So that's the one thing I want you to consider. Again, just want to make sure that you go to your setting and go to branches and for each branch. So if you have more than one location, make sure you upload a cover image for each branch, especially if the branches are not within the same city or the same state, so that each branch have a distinct image within the app, and make sure the address for each branch is absolutely correct. So looking at the app, the images of how the app is going to look like, that will just make sure that you have a distinct look for your branch. So if you don't have an image, you could use your logo. That's a good way to start, and so you have an image that you like and you would like that to represent your branch. Well, I'm going to go back to setting because I missed something. So when you go to your brand setting, notice that if I click on the image, it gives me an opportunity to load the image, a new image, but also it gives you the format. So you want to make sure that every time you want to load an image, that you pay attention to the image size and the format, the preferred format for that image. So for your cover image, you want to make sure the format is PNG and the size is a minimum of 350 by 350 pixels. So that will just make sure everything looks great. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the other element that's going to be on the mobile app. So if we look up, obviously your class listing is going to be in the mobile app. So for your class listing, you want to make sure, especially if you are going to display instructor images, you want to make sure that you do that. And the best place to load an image is to go to staff and then select on your staff. So any staff, click on the picture to open that staff, and then simply click on the image. So for example, if there is no image, you will see a placeholder image. So for example, if I look at Frank, there's absolutely no image for Frank. I could click on the space holder image, and then I could open an image. I could upload an image for that instructor. So again, notice that we are very careful to give you the exact pixel size that you want, that you need. This does not, it could be a little bigger, a little smaller. If you're going to load an image that's not exactly the same size as the recommended size, Please keep in mind that we will crop the image as best we can. So once you upload an image, it's important for you to take a look at it within the staff display and make sure that we're not cutting too much of somebody's face or too much of something else that you want in that image. So after loading the image, so take a look at the image, make sure, like for example, if I load an image, take a look at that image, make sure it looks the way you want it to look. And once you do that, that will ensure that the image on the app is exactly the way you want. Okay, so for example, so most of the image sizes are square, pretty much, so just kind of keep that in mind as you load your image. So for example, this is another image in terms of a staff. So notice the framing is center, the image is nice and center, and doing that, having a nice square image and keeping the specs as we suggested will make sure that your app look incredible. So let's look at another element on the stuff. So your staff image, the same image you load for your staff will also show here. So for that reason, you don't want to load a small, tiny image or image that's resolution is very low because you also want this to look very nice for your students and so on. We're going to talk a little bit more about product image. So looking at your products on the app, if you don't load an image, again, the system load a generic placeholder image for you. So it's important to kind of make sure that all the images are loaded so that the app looks absolutely perfect. So if you go to Asset, you go to Products. So in the product page, normally if you see your logo, that means there's not a custom image for that product, and you should load a product. If you see something that's something else besides a logo, then it has an image. So the virtual 5-class card, if we go to advanced, there's an image. Again, to load an image, just click on the image and make sure to follow the size recommendation on the upload screen. Now, the other thing I'd like to discuss in terms of product, not only that you have to load the image, but you have to make sure if you want the product visible on your app or on your embedded schedule that you check Sell Online. So to make sure product is visible and on your app, make sure to load an image, make sure to click Sell Online to make sure that product is nice and centered. So if you are going to add, so for example, in this product, if you are going to add text or graphic, we recommend that you make sure the text is at the center of the image you upload. So let me kind of illustrate. So this is basically, this image is bigger than our recommended size. This image is, if you look at the image size, it's 900 by 513. It's not exactly square, but that is okay. So within a square, a 500 by 500 pixel area, you could put all the elements. So if you keep it square, that means when we crop the image, pretty much everything will stay visible. So basically, if you have an image that's bigger than the recommended size and you want to keep some borders, it's okay. But you just have to make sure for the product that your image is at the center of that screen. Perfect. Okay. So one more thing. So the image on the app will look similar to this. Obviously, I disabled the gateway support for mobile app on this particular example, but this is how the image will look on your screen. Notice that the text and the logo are at the center of the image. So if you keep everything within the center, everything should just look awesome. Okay, all right. So I know this is a pretty short kind of webinar. I'll take any questions that you have at this point. If you have questions, I'll be more than happy to answer it. No. So the question was, can we customize the background and other stuff on the app? And that's no. So if you go to Studio Setting and you go to Styling, any styling changes you make here is only for your embedded element and does not really um, pertain to the mobile app. So you have to make sure that's just for your embedded element. The mobile app is fairly consistent. What you could control is the images that you upload. Uh, yes, yes. If you want a description of your studio, if you go to setting and you go to studio settings, you could scroll down a little bit and enter a short description of your studio, and that will be visible to people on the app. So, oh, another question. Okay, yes. So basically, the question was, you also wanted to know, uh, in our image is the little tree for when I say park drop-in. There's a little tree. When I say week intro, there's an in-studio logo. We use this as an in-studio logo, like a social distance logo for in-studio classes, and a little computer and a house to indicate live stream and home practice. Self-practice, which is basically a person, limited number of people in the studio practicing by themselves. There's a little logo at the bottom. No, Commercesoft do not provide that little icon, but it's really kind of easy for you to get, just so you know. If you go to, I think, Font Art Awesome website, okay, let's go. So if you go to Font Awesome website, um, you could get, you know, a number of icons that you could download and use uh, to kind of make the product image look the way you want. We also have a template, so basically um, I could send you this template and you could modify it any way you like uh, and play with that. Okay, any other questions? Yes, I could go over this again quickly. So step one, you go to settings, go to branch settings, you pick out your branch, and you make sure you upload a new mobile app cover. You verify that your address is correct, and then save that information. Step two, basically you go to your staff and make sure you have decent pictures for all your staff members. And step four, you go to asset, or step three, whatever step three now, sorry. You go to asset products, and then you make sure you load images for your product as well. Obviously, workshops, uh, there's an opportunity to load images for workshop. You can go ahead and do that. That will be displayed. But those are the main things that people use all the time is look at all the time, staff and products and so on. So, yeah. All right. If there's no more questions, I'd just like to say thank you. I know this was a quick one, but I was anticipating a little bit more questions for this webinar. Um, but if you have questions, shoot me an email. If you need a template for your images, let me know. I could send you a template and so on. So thank you for joining me today. Have a great day. Namaste.